Hi guys. So one particular YouTuber on here does page the screen, so I'm not really sure what I'm gonna call this, but it is about the book after and the movie after. So there you go. Book to movie, whatever you want to call it. And I didn't do an individual review for the book after. I did do a TBR in my wrap up, both books of after I read the first and the second, because I was a little worried with the lack of what happened in the first book that would produce in the movie. And I wanted to see the movie because I was like harassed constantly by Facebook with movie trailers of it. So I went and saw the movie. The first book is what the entire movie is. It doesn't go into the second book at all. So the book itself has gotten millions and millions and millions of reads, or I think upwards of 1 million reads on fan fiction sites, and so that was intriguing. That's what drew me in. It said it was a fan fiction piece on Harry Styles. I didn't really see that coming through. Maybe originally it was, but I think the book really formed into its own nature and its own storyline. It tells the story of Tessa and Hayden. Tessa is this uppity, snotty, judgmental girl who lives in a bubble that her mother has created. So Hayden comes on the scene. I think he is a little bit abusive, manipulative, a little bit of troubled child, and you don't know why, and that's kind of the revealing story of what's going on with Hayden. And then it breaks Tessa down, obviously, as a person. But it's kind of a bit of an insta-love story, a little bit. But she has a serious boyfriend in the beginning and then ends up cheating on him. And her serious boyfriend isn't really serious. I don't think they've developed a real relationship outside of friendship, from what I've read in the book. And then Hardin comes along and she just can't resist him, kind of story. I thought there were a lot of problems with the story and the beginning of the story. It was nationally published and everything, but it had a lot of grammatical errors that stopped me, and I was kind of shocked by that, being how much it's been published and edited. But I will say this, I've read some of the other books in the series, and the author does become a much better writer, which is amazing and awesome. And I think grammatically none of those other books bothered me at all. So it is just the beginning for me was like that. And then in the book as well, I thought there was some major issues of being super repetitive, the storyline being, and not having a real driven plot, not knowing really where these characters were going. I didn't like them together. I understand. I think that author tries to get at it in her second book. She's like, people don't just come together and have one issue. Sometimes people have so many issues they have to get over, which I understand. But in her book, in the first book, it was really repetitive, same issues. Like the characters weren't growing. And I started to kind of hate the characters, and I didn't want them to be together, and it was just, I didn't like the ending as well. So the movie, on the other hand, was a bit of a flip from it. Because the book is a very steamy read. I knew it would be rated R, but the movie was PG-13. So going into it, I knew they were going to have to scale back a lot of things. A lot of the problems with Hayden I knew couldn't probably come up. A lot of the abuse issues and manipulation issues he has in the book wouldn't probably come up. And also the steamy scenes probably wouldn't come up as well. There's a little bit of steaminess in the movie. I would definitely say it's still definitely PG-13. But the movie was so much clearer and concise in their story. I think it really got to the heart of what the author was trying to go for in the book and condensed it down so much. Because the book was way too long for what it was. Way too long for the story it was. Way too long for a YA read. Just way too long for me. And her second book was even like that for me. They were just both too long. But the movie was short. And I loved it. And there was only, even though I know she wanted multiple conflicts, the movie like mashed it down. And actually, I thought her first book had the same conflict over and over and over again. I think the movie actually ended up having a few different conflicts, and they were different, or they seemed more distinctly different. So I think the movie script was written so much better, and I think it gave across the original message of what the author originally wanted in the book. So I really liked the movie on this one. I don't say that often. I don't say you don't need to read the book. And I don't say I like the movie better than the book. If you want to read the book, if you can not read the book, I'd say go for it. But just know getting into it, it is a little bit harder to read. It is harder to finish. I had to drag myself a little bit through it, but I wanted to. I'm one of those people that really, really wants to read the book before the movie. And so that's the reason I pushed myself through it, and then the next one as well. But I'm going to tell you what, the next one was so much better and so much better plot driven, and grammar and everything was better in the second book. But the second book has nothing to do with the movie, so I won't go into that. But the movie was cute. As I said, a lot of the scenes were taken down. Hayden almost turns out to be, he's kind of the same character-ish, but he is a lot lighter of a character. His issues aren't really there. That was a little bit sad part because I thought that was her main kind of quencher, I think, in the book, was all of Hayden's issues. And then also the things I kind of really hated about the initial character, Tessa, her snobbiness and her judgmentalness and her shallowness. I think they cut through that a lot. Like, they cut a lot of that out, which I was kind of glad to see. I mean, it still gave that little bit of her being like, that guy is too abrasive to me, and he's not my style, he's not my type, so I'm not going to go there. Like, you still got that, but without her just being, like, rude and mean, like kind of a rude, mean person, and just super quick to judge. Like, in her head, she was super quick to judge. That didn't come out in the movie. So I also kind of quite enjoyed that. I liked the characters a whole lot more in the movie. I think it was fine without all the manipulation and all the steamy parts. You didn't need that for the story. I think the story came out so much better in the movie as well. I'd recommend seeing the movie if you're into, like, chick flicks. It wasn't the best chick flick I've ever seen, but I was so happy that the movie was done so much better than the initial book, but still got everything I think that the author had wanted out of the initial book. And so, yeah, that is my little Page of Screen recommendation. I know there isn't much to it because it is romance, it is light romance, and you should know what you're getting into. And when you see the preview, that's exactly what you're getting into. But I really, really liked it. So I'd say this time, definitely go check out the movie. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time. Bye!